Hey, what's up, y'all? You already know who it is. It's DLN. Where you been? Where you been? Back at it again with another video. And right now, this is part two. I got busy from yesterday because I was doing stuff. And it was a Christmas festival yesterday. They had fireworks. And people was asking me in real life, that was asking me, do I want to join them? There's fireworks going on. I'm like, all right, cool. I got me a gator on the stick. Takes tastes real good. And plus, if you know, I have a lisp, so excuse my lisp. And hopefully, y'all can bear with me and hear the story and hear what I gotta talk about. Okay, that's all I gotta say. But let's continue the story. I already told y'all the disclaimer before in part one. This has been co-signed it. At herself or Ancient Tiger. Me and her, we agreed on telling the story, so I won't have no, you know, defamation of character. So this is was agreed on, so everything should be cool. So yeah, if I had to give y'all 5 seconds to get some snacks, something to drink, go ahead and do so, because this is part two and the final part of the story. And trust me, it gets funny a little bit, but I give y'all details afterwards that I didn't say. But yeah, let me give y'all 5 seconds. And I forgot my water. Okay, just checking my phone real quick. Okay, y'all good? We good, alright? Okay, let's continue the story. So it's Sunday. I woke up from the bed, got my stretch in. My friend had contacted me. We, talking, chatting a little bit. And she had said that we were going to go to SeaWorld. I'm like, alright, cool. So I ended up getting into the rental car. I drove to the base, which she gave me the location of where it was at, so I won't get lost in traffic. Once I got there, I waited on her. She got in the car, and it was just this time. It wasn't her friend with us. It wasn't a friend with us at all. It was now just me and her. So we ended up going to SeaWorld. And the funny thing is, her military discount got got us in for free. The only thing we had to pay for was the parking, which she paid for, which was cool. I'm cool with that. She wouldn't pay for parking. So we ended up going here and there. To going in, we pay for stuff here and there, like stuffed animals and stuff. Just joining each other, having a good time. So when we got in, that's what we did. We got on a few roller coasters, which was thrilling. It was one ride. I forgot the name of that ride in SeaWorld. It was in San Antonio. But it was that one ride. It was fun, but it was painful. Well, for my friend, because, well, more for my friend than me, because when it hit my abdomen, and I didn't really hurt that much. But for her, it hurt her for a good minute. But overall, we had fun. We had to go on the roller coasters. We ended up checking everything out. We walked around to see, and plus we was on a time basis. We was timed. We was rushing throughout that day. So we walked around. We did this and that and the other, and we went to the sea lion show. Some seals, sea lions, and they had to do the performance, which was awesome. Like, it was my first time seeing an otter play with a ball and actually catch it with his nose. That was awesome. Of course, we stood there, watched it for a couple of minutes, then we had to go. Like, we didn't do too much, but we did enough. Oh, and also went to the Penguin Museum as well. Well, the Penguin Aquarium, not museum, but aquarium. We in there, we look at all the penguins and penguins and everything. It looked awesome, especially seeing the penguins swim fast and everything. I was like, wow. I enjoyed it. It was a great enjoyment for me to watch that. And on top of that, my friend wanted to sign up or pay for to pet the penguins and everything, but they didn't have that available. And if we really did, it was going to be in another city or it's gonna be in a future date, which we both didn't have time for. Even now, we still didn't have time for. So, but overall, we had fun. I got her a stuffed animal. I got her a dinosaur duck, or I call it a dino duck, and it was fun. She still got it till this day. She still has the dino duck to this day, cause I've seen it. But that's a whole nother story right there. But let's push forward. The dino duck, she loved it. Then we got back in the car. We drove and we went to. I'm trying to remember. We went to. What was it? Kung Fu Tea. That's what it was. Kung Fu Tea. We went there, and we ended up getting us boba tea. No, she got something that she recommended me. That was her favorite. She got something different. I tasted it, but I didn't really like it as much. I don't know. It tasted more like popcorn jelly beans. Like, it's alright, but it's not to my taste. Cause how you get a boba tea like that tastes like popcorn jelly beans? So we switched drinks. We didn't even switch the straws at all. We just switched the drinks, and hers tastes better. So I took hers, she took mine, and we just drunk it all the way till we went to the next destination. And the destination we went to was like a Riverwalk Mall. The Riverwalk, it was a mall. No, wait, scratch that. Hold on. Yeah, scratch that. Before we went there, we went to the Tower of America. Tower of America. It was in San Antonio. It was a high tower that looked great. We was all the way in the top. We looked around the city. It looked fantastic around, just walking around the circle. We took a couple of photos. It was awesome. Yet I'm still trying to drop all the weight that I'm still trying to lose. But I started gaining it back when you know what? You already know. It's a whole sad story, but we're going to forget about that. But we ended up taking photos. We looked all across the city through that high tower. It looked amazing. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Then afterwards, after we went there and seen outside of the area, it was great too because of the waterfall and stuff, even water downstairs and everything. It looks crazy. But after that, that's when we went to the Riverwalk. We ended up getting this and that and the other. I even found a cowboy shop, a Dallas Cowboy shop, which I ended up getting my grandma something because she's a Dallas Cowboys fan. So I ended up getting her a couple of glasses. Like, I'm trying to remember what. It was like one was a coffee mug, and the other one was like a tumbler cup. And plus, trust me, the Dallas Cowboys stuff wasn't cheap. They were a higher price than you think. So after that, we were walking around trying to look for stuff at the store. I ended up finding American Cookies, which was one of my favorite cookie shop. And I gave my friend one of my favorite cookies. If y'all favorite cookies from American Cookies is not the sugar cookies with the sprinkles all on it, something's wrong with you. Cause those bust. They hit different than any other cookies, and they're really soft. They're really, really soft. I loved it. But besides that, she tried it. She liked it. I got me one. I chowed down on that. Then we went to it was an ice cream parlor, not too far from where we was at. So we went there. We ended up getting the ice cream. Well, I ended up getting a shake. It was one of my favorite ice cream, but they made it to a shake, and that was cotton candy. She ended up getting that too. But she had wanted to get all the extra stuff with it. And let me tell you this. We both didn't finish that up. We did not finish it. But she did make a mess in the rental car. I'll tell you that much. Because all that cream and everything, it had flopped down on on the cup holder in the middle of the thing. It was a little bit hard to clean off afterwards, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. Then afterwards, after we got our shakes, we eventually I almost finished all mine, but I ain't want anymore because I wanted to save room for food. So I sat it down for a bit. We went back to Osaka. We went back to Osaka for our booked hibachi grill. And since it was just me and her, we sat down to the hibachi grill. We had to wait a minute because someone else booked it, but they didn't show up at all. So it was just me and her. So we sat down. We ended up ordering the food. And the chef himself thought that me and her was together. That he started making more like a romance hibachi grill, which was funny. Even though me and her we're great friends now, but now we end up seeing this. It was funny, and even had this fake squeeze bottle tube. The only thing that you squeeze out, like a string comes out, it just shoots out and just flops. It was funny because he tried to do it at me. All of a sudden, it was like, and just he got me a little bit. He got me just a little bit, but it was funny because he kept making that cat noise. She was enjoying it a lot. He even was filming him making the food. He was cooking everything. He actually making the onions. He was making the onions, making like a volcano tower, and then put the fire on it. And putting the fire oil on it, like fire. I was like it was crazy. I'm sorry, I'm talking a little too fast. I need to absorb all this. But yeah, the onions, he made a tower over it and made the fire around it. They just fire, and then put some more of that fuel to it to make food grade. This food grade, of course, and made it up. And then when it went down, that's when he cut it up and everything. It was cool. And all of a sudden, a minute later, my friend was like, "Hey, come on, where's the fire? Where's the fire?" All of a sudden, he got the fake bottle, and I was squeezing it like fire, like fire. Like all she did was this. Like, whoa. Hey, I had no choice but to laugh at that. Hey, she asked, and he answered. He answered that. So when he finished and everything, it even made the cat noises. He was entertaining. I'll tell you that much. He was entertaining that he deserved a tip. And we both did give him a tip, so that was great. So we ended up getting the food. We ate it. It was a great time. We started talking a bit more and try to get to know each other. Since we knew each other for years, but we don't know each other personally. Yeah, we talk from a day-to-day basis, but we want to talk to each other like on a personal level. So that's the difference between me talking to people online and talking to people in real life. Is when you're online, you can talk to people online at any time. At any time, you can talk to people online. But the difference between talking to people online and talking to them in person. You can talk to them online however you want, whenever you want, in any way you want. But in real life, I want to talk to them personally to get to know them as a person. To know them, even though we already knew each other and know each other as a person, but I really want to know them as a person, like what they do, what they like, what they dislike, what her life is like in that type of sense. And the same she asked me the same thing, and we had this conversation. We talk about this and the other and have this conversation, and trust me, we have great solid conversations with each other that really help each other out, which was awesome. And she's a great friend, so I give AT credit for that, because not a lot of women will have this sustainable conversation at this day and age. Like, I want to see some women that actually have this viable conversation. Some do, some don't. But when it comes to me, she was awesome. So after we went to there, We went to a few places. I'm trying to remember because it was a lot going on afterwards. So we drove. I know we drove around. We tried to look for other places. Like even the parking spots. We were trying to find a parking spot so we don't have to pay for parking, so we can move around a bit more. But near the end, during our last and final stop, she had asked me, "Have I tried Korean barbecue?" I told her no. I even told her prior to meeting her on Discord. I said I never tried Korean barbecue before. So she wanted to take me to her favorite Korean barbecue place, but they was they was closed or they was booked. I don't know which one. I think they was closed. So we went to an alternative place that has Korean barbecue, and it was okay. It was all right. It was passable, but it was all right. The only thing I didn't like was the water. To be honest with you, that water tastes weird and nasty. I don't know what water they use. It might be dishwater. I don't know, but let me tell you step by step what happened. Let me tell you. Once we went there, we had we got a table. We sat down. I never experienced a Korean barbecue before. I don't know what it is. I never seen what it was like to have a Korean barbecue. I don't know anything. My mind's blank. I'm a blank slate. I don't know anything about Korean barbecue. This is my first time. Of course, she went a couple of times before at her favorite restaurant, but this is my first. So here's what happened. We sat down. We ended up sitting on opposite sides, of course. I we both they asked for drinks. We both asked for water, which was cool. And we looked at the menu, and these menus are a bit high. I'm like, okay. If and in my mind, I'm looking at the price, looking at the prices. I was like, okay, if it's gonna be this high, it better be a lot. And Lord and behold, it was a lot. But I get to that in a minute. So what we ordered was some steak, some steak Korean barbecue, and some ribs, some beef ribs. That was the choices that was the choice that we both agreed on making. So, so once we was there, we get our menus. Our water came, and the water it looked alright. But when I tasted, it tasted weird. It tasted all sorts of weird. Like, what the heck is in this water? Type weird. I was like, nah. So we ended up getting the water switched, and it still tasted the same. The water still tasted the same. It tasted weird. Is it the area that they're in that the water tastes like that? I don't know, but the water tastes weird. I don't know why. But skipping to that part, they came in. They ended up taking the big plate off to show another source that they had to light up and it had to heat. And once it heat up, that's when it start cooking. Then they put another plate under it, so like a plate that can be heated. And then all of a sudden they gave us some raw meats. And let me tell you, the steaks themselves it look like strips of bacon, look like raw strips of bacon. I'm not gonna lie, that steak looked like raw strips of bacon just right there in front of us, and some raw ribs. It's like, all right, enjoy. I'm like, okay, that's what you told me. With Korean barbecue, you just put the meats right there, put the meats on the line, put it on the heated plate, and let it cook for a couple of minutes till it turn brown. Flip them. Just like I said, the steak looked like strips of bacon, so they were cooking fast. So I turned them around. It was brown. Flipped it. Wait till that turned brown. Put it on my plate and start eating it. Steak. The steak was all right. I'm not gonna lie. The steak tastes all right, but they gave you a lot of strips of steaks. They give you a lot. When it comes to the ribs, they don't give you too much, but they do give you a lot. And I like the ribs way better than I did like the steak. But overall, it was pretty good. Started chowing down, and then I had to look at the time because it was getting late. It was getting late, like around. It was getting around 6 o'clock, 6:30. I had a flight at around like 7:30, and then when I look at my phone, I was checking my flight. It said it was delayed to 8:45. So I had time. I'm like, all right, cool, I got time. So the flight's delayed. So I thought. That's what I thought. So I'm looking. It was like 6:15. Turn on 6:15 to 6:30. I'll say like 6:20, cause she had to be in base at around 7. So we end up eating. We end up chatting. Like the food was good, but the water was nasty. It was getting to the part that the food was getting greasy enough that it was starting to dry my throat to the point that I was getting thirsty, and I didn't want to drink no more of that water. And I wasn't gonna ask for Sprite because it's gonna cost. But overall, it was cool. And then the bill came. Then we had ended up stop eating because it started to turn to 6:45. It started turning to 6:45. Like, nope, we can't stay here much longer. They said, hey, we gotta go. We still had a lot. We still have plenty of food left to cook and eat, but it was at the point that we couldn't stay here much longer because she had to go back to the station. Because if she don't make it to the station in time, she would end up getting in trouble. She wanted to stay there a bit more, but I ended up telling her that we gotta go because of the time. She agreed with me. We both got up. The bill came. The bill was paid and everything. So we ended up getting to the car. She has to drive. Plus, she drove like a couple of times. She even drove to Osaka. That time I let her drive to Osaka. She asked me, can she drive to the base? Because right now, at this moment, it's 6:45. She got to be there on the line at around 7. So I gave her the keys. Actually, I started the car. Then I gave her the key. Actually, I didn't even give her the key at all. I just started the car, and we both got in and put the key right there in the middle. Only thing she had to do was press the button. So we ended up driving off. And let me tell you this. If there wasn't a moment that she didn't drive bat out of hell, oh my God. I literally mean she drove bat out of hell. She literally drive like crazy. You will never see a person who would drive 70 on a 35. Like, she literally drove 70 on 35 just like that. I'm like, oh my God. Like, she really did not want to be late. So we ended up getting to the station. Of course, she checked in with the security station, and I gave her my ID so they know there's my face, so they can recognize me. We got there. She ended up parking her car near her apartment, and she was like, "Thank you." She ended up taking the lollipop that she still got to this day. She still got that lollipop that she haven't eaten that came with the shake. Oh, and with the shake, it did come with a lot of stuff like the whipped cream, got candies, the big lollipop, a couple of cupcakes, mini cupcakes. It looked crazy. But I know I wasn't gonna buy that. That's for sure. But she ended up taking a lollipop and everything. And it still made a mess of cream and stuff on there. But that's besides the point. Then she ended up getting the lollipop. Everything was in her bag and everything. So she ended up getting the bag and everything. She would tell me thank you and everything. And she had to rush. We didn't really get a proper goodbye. And that was the sad part about that in the end. Even though it made each other and everything, we couldn't really get a proper goodbye, like a hug goodbye and everything like that. Because even though she had to get back to the station, you got to understand, she's in the military. She's in the military and they have stuff that they have to do. So of course, she's gonna have to say she had to get there before she be late. Even though I couldn't really get a proper goodbye, and that's the sad part. We can never end up getting a proper goodbye to each other. And even though I was a bit sad about it, I understood what's going on. I understood military protocol. She got to get set and get ready. She got to change to her military clothes and get in line so she won't be late or she'll be in trouble. She did tell me that she did make it and she did get set in time, so that's great. And I gotta get my flight at 8:30. So I went to the gas station. I had to fill the car up, make sure it's full, so I can return it, so I won't get charged for gas. And not only that, while I was filling the gas tank, I ended up was cleaning the car off, clean the car, getting all the stuff, even the stuff that didn't finish, like the shakes, throw that away. Got some napkins to wipe all that cream out of the car, cause it looked like we've been doing something crazy. Yeah, but we didn't. It was just cream from the shake that she had, so I had to clean that off. I had to make sure that everything else was in my bag, so it all will be in one spot, and I know where it's at. So that happened. Clean everything off. It was already 8:10. It was already 8:10, so I was trying to look for the airport. My flight was at 8:30. So 8:10. I made it all the way there, but I didn't know where the rental station was at. So I drove around until I eventually found it. It was already 8:15. So I had to book it. I got to rush it. I had to rush. So I ended up rushing it. Ended up finding the spot. Gave him the key to the rental car. Make sure you do a checklist. Everything should be good as new. No scratches on it. Everything is perfectly fine. And I was happy about that. It was fine. So I got my book. I got my luggage. I only had one luggage. So I took my luggage and I rushed all the way to my station where I was supposed to check in at. At this moment, it's 8:20. 8:20. And what ended up happening, I walked there to the lobby, walked there to the front of the thing, and no one was there. No one was there at the office or the lobby. They was gone. They ended up leaving. It turns out that they closed up at 8 o'clock. They closed at 8. Even though the flight was delayed, they was closed at 8. I was there at 8:20. So there was no one there to check me in so I can go ahead and get my book bag in, my luggage in, and I can just go. Turns out they was gone. I returned the rental car. And I was just there. I was stuck there, and plus I can't just go and pay for another day of the rental car because I have to save money and everything. So I was stuck there throughout the whole night. And let me tell you, that night that I stayed there in San Antonio, it felt like the Twilight Zone. And let me tell you why. I said that I was a bit disappointed that no one showed up because I was ready to get on my flight. So it's already 8:30. My phone's getting ready to die, and it turns out on the floor there was plugs, so I can charge my phone up. I had my charger. I got my phone. I started plugging in my phone to charge. It just waited. I watched a few YouTube videos here and there. I ended up talking to my folks and everything. And of course, when I found someone to talk to, there was in the front of the lobby and everything. He had told me it was closed, but they will return at around 3 in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, all right, cool. 3 in the morning, that's straight. So I had to wait the whole night just to get into a flight to go back home. Perfect. So, here's what ended up happening. I sat there. It was and let me tell you this: it was a lot of Hispanic people in that airport. When I mean a lot, I mean a lot. And they was going in a plane. Like they was waiting to be boarded the next day. Like there was a lot of Hispanics, and this is not an exaggeration. Like it was one huge family on one side. It was some that was outside. I was like, oh my god. And I seen a black couple with kids and everything. I was like, all right, cool. They got some black people here and while they're waiting too. All right, cool. So I sat near them. You know, I seen them a couple of times. You know, I just chill, watch my videos and stuff. Then all of a sudden, the black dude had walked up to me and started talking to me, get ready to talk to me. I'm like, I wonder what he's gonna say. And I and I tell you this with no exaggeration and no joke. He literally said this. That hablo inglés? You mean hablo español? Hablo español? Like, hold on, wait, what? Like, cause it didn't click my head. This dude was black. He was like almost a shade dark as I am. And all of a sudden he was like, hablo español? And I was looking at him in my mind. I was looking at him and I'm like, he's saying there's a hablo español. I'm like, do you speak black? Like really, like, dude, he literally speak black. Like, I can't understand a word he said. Yeah, hablo español. So I know he speaks Spanish and everything, but I'm not gonna fully understand them. But in reality, he said that, and I said, no, like I can't speak his language. So yeah, I'm like, he's a black dude that's only speaks Spanish, and I see his whole Hispanic family over there, and another Hispanic couple with kids running around. Like if that was a black family, shoot, they would have beat that. They would have beat their ass until they sit down. You better wait or go sleep. But they will not let them kids run around like crazy, like Hispanic family did when I seen it. I'm like, oh my god. Not only that, I seen a couple of dark black dudes with dreads, and they were speaking French. I was like, where am I? Is there any people around here that speak English at all? I'm like, oh my god. Like my mind's in a whirlwind for hours. I stood up throughout the whole night, even all the way till 3 in the morning. And then the flight came. They ended up 3 in the morning. I ended up getting in line, and I had my old ticket, so I walked up to the station, and there was a line just exclusive to people who got tickets, not the people who's getting tickets. So I ended up walking there, and they told me that they're gonna put me in a reserve. So when there's some available for a reserve, they're gonna let me know. They're gonna get me in the flight at 6 o'clock. I'm like, all right, cool. They got my bag. I ended up giving it to them and ended up going to the lobby. And there was a long walk to the lobby. It took like 15 minutes. Everything was closed. So once I sat down, I was waiting. I was just waiting until it was my time to get out. So 6 o'clock, about like 5:30 came. Right in the middle of everyone boarding spot, there was a Starbucks in the middle. And remember, the number one rule of going to the airport is to not buy anything at the airport. Unless it's McDonald's and stuff. If you got a coupon for McDonald's and everything, hey, use it. I had a McDonald's app. I ended up getting a breakfast for like $3. Hey, best $3 ever. Best $3 ever spent at the airport with the McDonald's app. Hey, that saved my hunger. But that was going to San Antonio, and it was in Dallas. And I'm going back to Dallas. at a different spot. But yeah, let me continue the story. Here's what happened. So we ended up Starbucks open. I didn't get anything from there, so that's irrelevant. So I was waiting on everyone to get boarded, and I was waiting on them to call me so I can, because it's calling everyone else's name that was reserves. And I was the second to the last person to get boarded on the plane. And they gave me a ticket to let me know where I'm gonna sit at. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go in. I sit next to a white guy and an Asian guy. So I got a black guy, a white guy, and an Asian guy in one spot. uh, it was awesome though. That was cool. And what I mean by that was cool, I mean they didn't say nothing to me. We both didn't speak. We just, just riding the plane for like an hour and didn't say anything to each other. We just waited until we get out. That's cool. So, hey, silence is deafening, but at the same time, silence is the best way to go. You don't have nothing to say to them, hey, don't say nothing at all. Let it ride. So we end up getting out the plane at around like 7:15, and I had to get back on the plane at around 8:30. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. So I got to go from Dallas all the way to Alexandria, and I had to find out where my stuff is at. So I gotta tell you a story about the plane as well, which I'm gonna tell afterwards. So I ended up finding my spot, finding where it's at, went to the terminal, and once I got there, only thing though, it was a few spots that was open, but the only thing that was near where I was a Whataburger. And we just got a Whataburger in my city, so at this time we just getting a Whataburger. So I ain't no one to try out their breakfast, so I ain't no getting that. Pay for it. I was hungry because I ain't eat anything throughout that duration of the time that I was there. So don't judge me. So I ended up getting some food, like 5 minutes and like 6 minutes after I got my food. I said they're getting ready to board the plane. So I end up eating my food, drinking my drinks quick as possible, and just throw stuff away. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm full. Well, I wasn't full, but it was filling. I'm good. I'm set to go. Now I'm just waiting on them to call my own group. I did that. Went to Ellick and just went back home. Went to Ellick, went to the car, actually filled the rest of it, and went back home a little bit faster. But what ended up happening was it started smoking once I parked the car at my grandma's house, just to give her a gift. But I went back home and everything was cool. And that was the story. But let me tell you the stuff that I didn't talk about in the story, though. You remember when I said I was lost at the airport getting there? It was true, though. I didn't know there was different terminals in different buildings. And I was like, I'm lost. Because I was in Terminal B, I need to be in Terminal D. I was like, where am I? And it was like an hour in, and my next flight was within the next 45 minutes. Then my last result was going up the escalator. I was like, okay, let's go up the escalator. So I get up there. It turns out it was a train terminal. It had a train that transports you to your terminals. I didn't know that, but when I got there, it looked crazy. This is my second time ever getting on like a train or a subway. Subway train is still basically the same. It's just one's more underground or inside, while the train is more outside. So it's still a train. This is the second time around the train at an airport ever. So I got to my right terminal, and the stuff that I didn't also talk about was, what was it? Yeah, the first time we went to Boba Tea, we ended up getting that. It was cool. But a friend had wanted to also go to the vape shop. There was a vape shop that she wanted to go to, and I drove there. And man, my friend was a big At was a bit curious on what some of the stuff was, and I had to explain to her what there was. After me and her former friend explained to her what was the some of the stuff was. Even she didn't even know what Kush is until last weekend when she said something smelled nasty, something smelled bad. I was like, that was Kush. He was like, oh, I don't want to smoke that. Bad. It smells bad. Yeah, that's Kush, but yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. I don't smoke at all, so I have no right to talk about it. People that do Kush, hey, that's their choice. But me, I got asthma. I don't want to get into that type of stuff myself. But overall, they end up getting a vape and stuff. And here's the thing about having a vape stick. In the military, a vape stick is basically contraband in the military. And I realized that. No, actually, they told me that. While, while I was dropping them off, her friend was telling me that the vape stick is contraband and they had someone that wanted a vape stick. So, they ended up, going all the way back to the military base, and she had told me there was a guy that's gonna come. He had told me his name, and he had won a vape stick. And just to let you know, vape stick is a contraband in the military. The more you know. So the dude come in. I was like, "Hey, what's cool?" And I told him when I brought him in. I said, "Hey, there's a stick in the back seat. The vape stick in the back seat. You know, going in, taking it, putting it in his jacket pocket, and walking off." Like, all right, cool. See you later. And that was on that Saturday. Hey, you ain't hear from me, and that part of the conversation never happened. Okay. So that one part I didn't talk about. The other part to the story, I'm trying to remember because I think I told mostly everything on that one. I don't know what's with my friend and her bladder. What is with her bladder? It's the question I want to know. It's beyond me. But that's neither here or there. But overall, that's the end of the story. What do y'all think about it? Hope y'all enjoy it. You got through this story of part two. Type in Batman. Because she wore a Batman hat. I wore my Joker hat. It was fantastic. Oh, yeah. Before I even forget, we actually went to a gift shop before, and we both tried to get matching shirts. And this was from the Six Flags shirts. We wanted to buy each other one together so we can wear it. Turns out it was the right size for her, but for me, it was an extra large. I ended up getting an extra large, but it wasn't a regular extra large. It was a kid extra large. I'm like, oh my god. Even when I tried it on, it looks huge. I look very fat in it. Like, it was terrible. I even took the photo of it, but I'm not gonna post it on YouTube. But that shirt looked funny on me. But yeah, that's the end. That's the end of the video right there, man. It was crazy. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Like I said, in the comments, type in Batman if you went through the whole story. And just like I said, excuse my list because I don't talk a whole lot as much as I need to. But if you do understand me, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the story. I have much more shorter stories for you guys next time. And until then, man, stay safe, stay positive, stay happy, and live your best life. And hopefully, when you make the money and be the most success that you can, make sure you share it with someone that you enjoy it with the most. Peace.